Hey guys, Aaron Farmer here with mysugarfreejourney.com. We are on day 10 of our 28-day weight loss challenge. So we're getting some good reports in the room, if you guys are in there, of people that are losing weight and getting to see the healthy food decisions that they're making. So things are going very well for most of the people in there. If you'd like to join us, I'll put a link in the show notes or the notes for this particular video, and you can come over and join us. So I'd love for you to be there. Today what we're going to talk about is what is metabolic syndrome. So statistically, if you're obese, you're going to shave about an average of 20 years off of your lifespan. So that's terrible. But it's not really the obesity that kills you. It's all the other diseases and stuff that come along with obesity, like diabetes or high blood pressure or heart disease or cancer or dementia. These are all things that come together along with obesity, and we've kind of packaged them all under a catch-all name called metabolic syndrome. I was first diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. So I've got a little bit of experience in this. I haven't tried to figure out what it is and how to get rid of it. Let me tell you, before we get into all this, if you're looking to get rid of metabolic syndrome, I've lost almost 140 pounds, and I still have it. I still have a lot of the symptoms. So it's you just got to, got to get to work and lose the weight, and it'll go away eventually. At least that's what I'm hoping. So statistically, or actually, let's look down here. Metabolic syndrome is defined as having at least 3 of 5 symptoms. So if you've got 3 of these next 5 symptoms, you have metabolic syndrome. High blood pressure, for me, check. Obesity, check. Lipid problems like high triglycerides and low HDL, not anymore, but I used to. High blood sugar, check. If you've got your A1C out of control, that's an indicator of metabolic syndrome. And cardiovascular disease. If you've got some heart disease, then that's another of the warning signs of metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome will probably soon pass smoking as the leading cause of heart disease in the world, not just in the U.S. So, and it's important to remember also that obesity is just one of the markers of metabolic syndrome, not the cause. So there are plenty of thin people with metabolic syndrome. They just happen to have the other markers. In fact, I know someone that is like that. They're rail thin, but they've got the high triglycerides, they've got the high blood sugar, they've got the high blood pressure and the different things that are going on with metabolic syndrome. So it's not, obesity is just one of the markers. It doesn't necessarily, you can be obese and not have metabolic syndrome. You can have metabolic syndrome and not be obese, but for most of the population, they are interconnected. So it's important to remember that about obesity. So here's our best idea of how metabolic syndrome happens. So the science on this isn't 100% yet because they're still doing a lot of studies on it, but this is our best guess on how it happens. Number 1, metabolic syndrome starts as your body accumulates fat, which is stored near the liver and the midsection. This makes the liver insulin resistant, starting a host of metabolic problems. So that, and again, just like we talked about yesterday, it's not the subcutaneous fat, it's not the fat on your arms, your legs, that's the problem. It's that fat around your midsection. It's your pot belly, it's your expanding waistline, that's the fat that's causing all the problems. Number 2, liver insulin resistance makes the pancreas secrete more insulin, driving more fat to the midsection. So as your liver becomes more and more insulin resistant, your pancreas has to work harder to pump out more insulin, which makes more fat accumulate around your midsection. So then number 3, liver tries to transport the fat as triglycerides, which drives up your bad cholesterol markers. Number 4, the insulin makes the muscle tissue around your blood vessels grow, constricting the blood vessels and driving up blood pressure, which is what is my problem. That all the insulin that I've accumulated over the years has caused problems with the arteries and veins in my body. It's caused them to swell basically, which has tightened the hole that the blood has to go through, which has increased my blood pressure. Number 5, the combination of high blood pressure, lipid problems, and insulin resistance promotes heart disease, driving up the risk of heart attack and stroke. Number 6, the fat around the liver can scar the liver, causing non-alcoholic liver disease and eventually cirrhosis. That's why we've got so many overweight people in the U.S. We've got a growing number of overweight people in the U.S. that have the livers of lifelong alcoholics, but they've never taken a drink in their life. It's because the excess fat and the excess sugar in their diet causes the same type of liver damage that alcohol does. Number 7, insulin resistance in women can cause the ovaries to create more testosterone, which results in polycystic ovarian syndrome, excess body hair, or infertility. So if if you're a woman that's been diagnosed with PCOS, or you've got some of the secondary markers of increased testosterone, it's probably the increased insulin caused by the sugar and carbs that you are eating. Of course, I'm not a doctor, so you want to consult with your doctor about that, but it might be a good idea to just stop eating the sugars and the carbs and see if that fixes the issue. Number 8, as insulin resistance grows worse, the pancreas wears out, which causes type 2 diabetes. We have a growing number of people with type 2 diabetes in the U.S., and the issue is just, if you've got type 2 diabetes, you've just worn out your pancreas. You've just worn it out. And you need to cut out the sugars and carbs so your pancreas doesn't have to work as hard. And I can tell you also from personal experience that my wife was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and we reversed it. She no longer has that issue because we caught it in time. We cut out the sugars and carbs. We got the fat off of her, and she was able to fix the problem. So type 2 diabetes is certainly not a death sentence, and it's certainly something you can fix and even reverse if you catch it in time. Number 9, insulin is one of the hormones that causes cell division. So high insulin can cause cancer, and this is how metabolic syndrome can drive cancer. If you've got a lot of insulin will drive rapid cell division, and if your cells start dividing out of control, it will. That's basically what cancer is. And then cancer loves high blood sugar. So if you got both these things working together. You got high insulin levels that are driving cell growth, and then you've got high blood sugar that's feeding all of the cancer cells, and you can have a real problem. Number 10, there is evidence that insulin resistance in the brain causes dementia. In fact, there are a growing number of researchers that are causing dementia, Alzheimer's, and different things like that, type 3 diabetes. And that's a terrible thing. You don't want to lose your mind as you grow older. So the liver's job is to turn calories from food into glycogen. Glycogen is the storage form of glucose. The liver also turns excess energy into fat, but it has to get the fat out of the liver as fast as possible. If fat gets backed up into the liver and that it impedes the flow of fat out of the liver can get very sick very quickly. So all that adipose tissue, all that visceral fat around your midsection, it's causing damage to your liver. Another issue is that when the cells throughout the body use the energy that your liver is making to do all their various jobs, when the cells burn fuel, there's a substance called a reactive oxygen species, or ROS. The ROSs are the waste products of your cells doing their natural job. ROS causes damage in the cell's DNA, and their cell's proteins, and the cell's membranes, and we need help from another part of the cell called the peroxisome, which are full of antioxidants, to neutralize the ROS. So your cell does whatever it needs to do. It creates ROS as a byproduct. Your cell also has the peroxisome, which has antioxidants to help get those ROSs out of the cell before they cause major damage. If there is so much ROS that it overwhelms the peroxisome, the cell dies. Enough cells die, and you have metabolic syndrome. We're actually going to talk a lot more about this moving forward, but that's kind of the broad strokes of what's going on in your cells. There are 4 major types of foods that increase the oxidative stress on your body. So these are foods that if you eat it, your peroxisomes can't move those ROS out of your cell quickly enough. Number 1, trans fats. So these are fats that your body can't process due to their synthetic nature. They're actually on their way out, but there's currently no nationwide ban on them, and they're usually found in processed foods, in wrappers on shelves at your local grocery store. That's another reason why processed foods are bad for you. Number 2, branched chain amino acids. These are necessary for a healthy body unless you're consuming too many. These amino acids are found high in concentrations in corn. Therefore, they're high in animals who've been fed a high corn diet, which is mostly beef and pork and some poultry. And that's something that I haven't talked about too much, but there is a definite argument to be made that if you are continuing to be serious about your health, you want to switch over to grass-fed beef and farm-raised chickens for eggs or for meat, because most industrialized livestock are fed a high corn diet, which causes these branched chain amino acids, which are full of the substances that impede your peroxisomes from getting the ROSs out of your cells. Alcohol, number 3 is alcohol, and alcohol is actually okay in small amounts, but if you start drinking it in excess, it'll put stress on the liver. And number 4, fructose. And I'm sure you've learned by now that fructose is really the villain of the story. If it's sweet and it's caloric, it's fructose, and we've put it in everything. 80% of the foods on the supermarket shelves have added fructose, which is amazing. Worldwide consumption of fructose has steadily risen for decades, right along with obesity rates. So we can track the rate of the number of people that are eating fructose every day, and we can track their obesity rate, and they pretty much follow step by step by step. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This one was a little bit longer because we covered a lot more ground. But please subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure that you never miss a video, and we will talk to you tomorrow for day 11. Thank you. Bye-bye.